concern was a lot of questions by our colleagues in the legislature on why we approved the first one. The reason we approved the first one, we were very concerned about seamless service to make certain that continues for the people that they're serving out there, so we moved on that. I think he articulated properly on the last $10 million or $11 million bar on the basis that we wanted additional information in that, and that's why it was rejected. But the first and foremost, if anything, the legislative finance committee aligned itself with the people that were being served, trying to watch out best for them. So with that being said, I want to roll back in time. It seems to me 16, 17 years ago, we had a Medicaid investigation going on in the state of another issue, might have been the legislature at the time, on that. And, one thing that surfaced, sort of touched on it with remarks, is the federal involvement on this. And at that time, when that prior investigation was going on, we were preempted by the feds, and they took the lead on that Medicaid fraud case. Does that situation exist in this case?
Mr. Chairman, George, I don't know if either of these guys were at the AG's office during that period of time, but I think actually Tony might be able to address the issue of whether or not this is something that could be taken over by the U.S. HHS if they perceive that we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Mr. Chairman, it's always possible that the U.S. Attorney may approach us and say, hey, we know we're aware of your investigation. We see what you've done. We think it's more appropriate that these cases, with fires, should be prosecuted in federal court. At that point in time, we would consult with them. We would discuss and have meetings about whether the charges are more appropriate in federal court. Myself, along with Attorney General King and Chief Counsel Alama, we would consult about that. We make a decision, yes or no. So to answer your question, yes, it's possible that these cases may wind up in federal court. My personal opinion about the whole thing is that's possible, not probable. Just the way I see these investigations and the allegations and what we've uncovered in the investigation so far. But that's possible. That's possible. We're in touch with the U.S. Attorney's Office on other cases. So normally I know their attorneys, their investigators. They don't have a lot of investigators at the time. And so we discuss these things from time to time. But I can tell you that if I had to make a call right now, these cases would probably wind up in state court.
And that case refreshed the memory, turned on some, as I recall, auction sales or something like that by a particular vendor on that. We were told at the time that the feds had preempted the state, and they had taken the lead on that because there was concern about successful prosecution of Medicaid fraud at that time, and we were preempted. That's why I asked the question, but I guess that possibility is possible, as you stated, but it's happening right now. It's also my take that most of the debate, Mr. Chairman, surfaced with the audits, but it seems to me that the discussion and some investigation took place before we got into this back and forth on releasing the audits versus not releasing the audits. It seems to me in the back of my mind, I was aware that the investigation was going on probably a year ago at this time. Were you aware of some type of investigation going on?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Smith, I don't know that we were doing any comprehensive investigation of all 15 of these providers, but certainly we've had ongoing investigations, some of which involve credible allegations of fraud against other individual providers or something like that. It does appear, actually, from what I've read, that these were matters of concern for the human services departments pretty far back too. I don't know if it was a year ago.
I want to say it was around November a year ago, so we're jumping up on a year. And I guess the other point is that all of us in the legislature would like to get this resolved, as with the providers, to find out what their standing is. But I dare say that this issue, especially if there's charges filed, it's sort of like the put money in the Zopia. It's with you for a long time. You think you've rinsed it off, and I think we're probably in for a long haul before we get to the bottom of this issue. And we could be looking literally at years. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Smith, I would not disagree with you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm still really confused to how it is going to happen. One whistleblower apparently made a comment to opt him up there. And then opt him went to the department, and the department decided to do something there. So they decided to do an audit. And that's how they got the audit to do. And I'm puzzled with what happened, how all 15 got involved. That's up to the audit, I guess.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Salazar, yeah, as I recall, the secretary in her testimony said that there were numerous whistleblowers, and I had some concern then, as I do now, whether or not somebody is truly a whistleblower versus somebody who's complaining about the level of service that they were getting. And so, for as many whistleblowers as she said that they had, I think that some of the other people that just basically came in and said, I don't think I got the service that I paid for, that the state paid for, and that, I mean, that could be whistleblowing. In the traditional sense of whistleblowers, I think that there were one or more people who came and said, we are aware of billing issues that we think rise to the level of fraud. Whether they raise those to Optum directly or whether they raise them to the Human Services Department, I'm not sure. But it was a group of those types of facts: whistleblowers, Optum, Human Services Department. Their concerns that caused them then to go hire this PCG to do a broader audit, and that audit I think involved. I don't remember maybe the auditor does. If they targeted just those 15 agencies, or if they targeted a broader group, and if these 15 agencies that showed up in the audit. I don't remember what the overall charge to PCG was. It's just those 15 that show up in the audit.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Chairman, Representative, I can speak as, with the one disclosure though, that we are still getting information from HSD. So whatever I offer today, please keep in mind that my general comments may change as we go along. I thus far have been able to not confirm, or at least have been able to kind of struggle right now that there are still inconsistencies with specific allegations, how the specific transactions, or the specific verification of establishing that this was credible to go hire the audit firm arose. I'm still trying to gather facts, documents, because the 15 providers don't have 15 specific allegations individually to trigger within that universe of an audit. Now, there are allegations involving some of the providers. And so we're working with HSD to figure out specifically which ones come from Optum, which ones are generated with the agency, which ones are more specific. Is this all you have? Is this strictly a question cost allegation? As the Attorney General said, is this just somebody complaining about service? Is this a specific allegation that you're actually investing taxpayer money to go trigger an audit and provide a nonprofit provider into an audit cycle based on just this complaint, or do you have more information? So we are still have not been able to conclude or ascertain what the specific facts are. We're still working with those, and you know, I wish I had more answers for you, but
it's been complex because we're getting different information. Each time we hear different people speak.
And I can't believe, you know, the whistleblower might have complained of somebody, of one agency. And the normal procedure, Representative Bratton is right. The department would have sent some auditor to the provider. And maybe goes in and what he was doing wrong, or you can be based on this or that together. But to trigger an audit to everybody else, and I can't imagine for a lack of instance that they're all somebody probably have committed fraud. You know, they might have made mistakes in the request and all that, and maybe their forms are now completed and stuff like that, but I can't for lack of think that there's 15 providers committed fraud.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. The last shall be last. But one thing that really bothers me, and I don't know if we should look at that as well, as human service done anything wrong here either. This has come to light this year, and we had the executive head of La Frontera, which took over quite a bit, one of the Arizona companies took over quite a bit of the work, if you will. HSD talked to them, I believe he said the first time regarding all this was like the first around Thanksgiving before all this came to light. So what scares me is that there's a method to the madness. I mean, HSD already had in their mind that we're gonna make these changes, and now we have to find a way to do it, I guess. Have we looked at that as well? I mean, if we put the cart before the horse there, HSD already had in mind to get rid of these folks, and now we have to find a reason to do it? Or are we not looking at any of that? We're just looking at the allegations that were made. What about the possible wrongdoing from the department standpoint?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Sandoval, basically we are focused on the specific allegations against the specific providers. I'm, as you are, am aware of discussion about whether or not there were conversations that were disclosed, for instance, when the Secretary talked to the committee on July the 3rd, because I'm pretty sure on July the 3rd that she said that there had not been any discussions with these agencies, that they sort of fell out of the blue on them. And then we have seen since then that there were some discussions. I guess all I could really say about that is that an investigation into that would fall in a different part of the agency. It wouldn't be something that might have came across.
Yeah, but that bothers me, that the department's already looking at Arizona companies coming in and do this work before we decided to do all this discussion about the 15 and allegations and so on. Their plan was already in place to do this, and I think we need to look at that also.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure we're gonna hear this again, I would like to set up a portion in December, David. Well, I mean, Hopkins has not even responded to what happened. You know, when they put up the amendment, the software, they suspended any of the audit because they couldn't get the dollars to the providers. That's where these problems occur with all these systems. Look at Obama here, look at Sheriff. They don't prepare themselves to be able to take the workload and to determine whether it's practical or not, whether it's acceptable, and whether it's legal to provide some of these payments. And I think Optum needs to have a seat at the table here to tell us what happened when they suspended all those debits and they were making out the payment to these providers. So we need to follow up on that.
Chairman, I thought you were going to suggest turning this into a budget increase for our offices. I won't grovel today.
I didn't hear that from the Attorney General.
It was only a suggestion.
They're working in tandem, so.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, yeah, thanks for your courtesy, I'm gonna hot foot back to Albuquerque, something going on in Albuquerque, but, we're, either myself or Mr. Lund or Mr. Grant are always happy to try and make one available on you.
Any member, if there is stuff already,